Hey everyone, and welcome to the results video of the RMC Coaster contest. In this contest, all the players had to create either a hybrid coaster or a single rail coaster. Anyway, there were 27 entries in this round, so I'll try to keep it short for every entry, and I think I'll just get started with it. So I'll start with the one that got last place, and I'll finish by announcing who is the winner of this round. Alright, in last place we have this entry from Johnson. So he made this huge RMC coaster on top of this castle in this autumn palette. What I think some people gave him a bit of a lower score for is this chain lift actually has two sections with a curve in it. Most coasters actually just have one lift hill without a curve. I think if you do that, it will generally look nicer. So I tried to stay away from the edge a bit, so you can just do a single chain lift. And other than that, the coaster goes up really high with this chain lift, but the layout itself is quite short. So over here, it has a decent speed, but over here in this section, where it's lower to the ground, it actually goes at a really fast pace. But there are some really nice things in this map. I really like this tree, and there's also a really cool ship here. By the way, I'll be going over these entries quite fast. If you want to take a look at them for yourself, you can all download them from my Discord server. It's completely free, and the link is in the video description. Alright, here's the entry from 73. Now, I really like that he went for a more normal color palette here than what he usually does. I think the map layout also looks quite nice. I really like the foliage here. I think he did a really nice job on that. As for the RMC, I see a lot of helixes in the layout. RMC coasters typically focus more on having airtime and weird banking on hills. So probably if 73 focused a little bit more on that, it would have scored a little bit higher. But I quite liked what he built here. I think this is definitely a step up from his usual work. Okay, here's the entry from Willow536. Now he actually redid the Big Dipper from Bumbly Beach as an RMC. Now I had to give him a small point penalty because he didn't actually use the RMC trains, which according to the rules for this contest had to be used. He used the wooden coaster cars. Yeah, I quite like what he did with this boardwalk here. That's pretty nice. As for this coaster itself, yeah, it actually kind of just looks like the Big Dipper, but with RMC track. Of course, it does have an inversion now, but for an RMC coaster, it looks a little bit tame. So maybe if it was made a little bit higher, maybe with a higher first drop, it would have had a little bit more speed, and probably then it would have looked a little bit more aggressive, and then probably it would have scored a bit higher. But still, I quite like the boardwalk that he made here. Alright, here's the entry from Aura Specs. I believe it's his first time that he's joining one of our contests. So he made this a really rocky landscape here. I think it's a really cool landscape, lots of height difference. And there's this single rail coaster on here. Here you can see the station. From there it immediately drops out with a vertical drop. It goes into this tunnel, then an insane inversion here. Here's another inversion. And after that there's this boosted track here before it returns back to the station. So I think what could have easily improved this coaster is maybe a bit more interesting track here in the second half, because after this booster there's not really much that this coaster still does. It just actually quite gently goes back to the station. So yeah, maybe an inversion here in this section could have been nice. Yeah, I think Aura Specs did a nice job here on the landscaping. It's quite nice for our first entry, and I also really like this ship here. Okay, here's the entry from Girati. He made this really big RMC coaster here. Has several different colors for the track. I think that actually looks quite nice. Again, it's another RMC with a lot of helixes. I already said RMCs usually have quite a lot of airtime. They like to try and fling you out of your seat, or at least give you that feeling. and this coaster doesn't really have that. It does have a cool inversion here. But yeah, other than that, there's some really fast helixes too. Quite an unconventional layout, but still it does look quite imposing. My favorite ride from this entry is actually this looping coaster here. I actually quite like this layout with this first drop here, and then later going into this loop and then traveling through the loop. I think this this looping coaster is actually much more interesting than the RMC, and I really like it. Yeah, and other than that, for the rest of the map, yeah, instead of filling it with trees, it's probably nicer to have some interesting landscape or some interesting more buildings in the map, and yeah, that will probably get the viewers to rate your entry much higher. Alright, we get a small jump in score. This is the entry from Cobra 6. Now, I really like the aesthetic that he went for here. This is a really cool Asian town. Yeah, I really think these buildings are really cool, and all these pink and purple trees really help with the aesthetic. These planters also look really cool. Yeah, as for the RMC coaster, yeah, it's quite windy, and it really encloses a large area. So when you build a coaster, quite often it will look nicer if you try to go a little bit more compact. So with my coasters, I always try to not enclose too much land within the coaster. That generally makes them look a bit nicer and more compact. So you can see this coaster travels back and forth many times like this. And maybe you could try to, for example, make a loop here and then go in the other direction. Yeah, make it cross itself a few times. Of course, there's also ways to overdo that, but I think if you do that, then you will get a more interesting layout. Still, what I do like is yeah, this weird banking in some of the hills. That's quite RMC-esque. Alright, next up is the entry from Herbert. He actually recreated part of Energylandia. You can see the RMC coaster Zadra here. I think this follows the original layout quite well. Although when you do a recreation, I think you should always be careful not to follow the original layout too strictly. As you can see, there's quite a few bits of straight track here, and yeah, that's usually what you get because you usually cannot scale elements exactly as they are in the original. So yeah, when you do a recreation, it's always good to take a bit of creative liberty. And for example, I think this would have been a nice place to put a hill or like a curved hill, something like that, just to make this part look a little bit more interesting rather than have straight track here. I do appreciate that Herbert put footers all into the track. So yeah, I think it's quite a nice recreation. But of course, take some creative liberty if you want it to look even more epic. Okay, here's the entry from Low Poly Surf. Oh, this of course looks really epic. I'm a big Star Wars fan, or at least I was until Disney took over. But yeah, I think this is a really cool X-wing. Also, these smaller ones look epic. But of course, this is not an create an X-wing contest. It's actually create an RMC coaster contest. So you can actually see a single rail coaster train travel around here. But yeah, this is the coaster, and I think on its own this vehicle is not very impressive. So yeah, that's why there was a large amount of really mixed scores for this park. A lot of players gave this a really high rating for the looks, but a really low score for the coaster itself. So yeah, maybe a good lesson when you create something epic like this, also create an epic coaster to go with it. But still, this is probably the best looking X-wing that I've seen anybody make in this game. Alright, here's the entry from Noah. He made this small island with RMC coaster in the middle. Now, I think this is a really cool layout for this RMC. You can see the station. It's in the form of a castle. Although these cannons do seem a little bit buried into the roof from some angles. Might be something to watch out for. I quite like the way Noah did the foliage here. Although it is a little bit glitchy in some spots. You can probably see that here as I move around the map. Also happens for some of the underwater stuff here. But yeah, overall I quite like the setting of this map. I think what would have made this coaster look even more impressive is maybe some footers here right next to the track. And maybe a fence that's a little bit more... that does a better job at stopping the guests than this one. Yeah, it even does such a bad job at stopping the guests that here they walk just straight through it. Alright, with just a very small point difference over the previous entry, here's the one from Pawn B4. He made this RMC coaster, which actually has a launch section here. We didn't see many of those in this round, so that's pretty cool. We can see these trains travel through this really cool looking figure 8 helix. Yeah, I really like this part. I see that he also made footers all along the track, so that is always a step up. I really enjoy when people go the extra mile to do that. My favorite part of this entry is probably actually the station for this coaster. I really like the structure of this building with this cool roof with the planters on top. Yeah, I really like the roof colors, the windows. It's just a really nice building. And the queue is also really nice with this building which the guests walk through. Yeah, I always enjoy a well-decorated queue. So yeah, I think Pawn B4 did a nice job here. Also incredible landscaping. Alright, here we have the entry from Yaron. Now, he made a huge coaster. You can see it go all through this valley here. Kind of gives me a Dynamite Blaster vibes. With this, what looks like a quarry in the middle of a desert. But yeah, I think the coaster is really impressive. Now, I did see the trains almost always stop on this brake section here. I think it's always a good idea. If you see this happen, yeah, maybe go with a train less or try to adjust the timings of your vehicles. Because yeah, I always like to see the trains just continue on throughout the track. Nobody likes getting stopped in the middle of the track. I really like all these buildings here. This part of the park looks quite bustling. Yeah, as for the layout of the coaster, again, maybe it's a little bit too much helix focused here in this section of the park. I think some airtime hills instead probably would have made it look even cooler. Not really sure if this one, yeah, it only has one inversion. With an RMC coaster of this length, probably it would have been possible to maybe include an extra inversion or two throughout the track. But yeah, I think it's a really cool looking map. Okay, here's the entry from R. Adrian 1994. He made this orange RMC here in the corner of the map, or in this half of the map. I think it's also a nice layout with a vertical drop here at the beginning. Quite a few airtime hills, for example this one here right after the first drop. I think that's always a good thing to have on your RMC coaster. Quite a nice amount of inversions here. Also quite a lot of the track is quite close to the ground, so the coaster does travel quite fast through this section. Overall, I think it's quite a nice layout. And once again, some footers. I think it would have completely finished this coaster. But yeah, also some other cool rides, some other nice landscaping. Yeah, I think R. Adrian in 1994 did a nice job in this park. Okay, here's the entry from Colorblind Unicorn. He made this map with just an RMC coaster. Now, what I really like is actually the color of the supports here. So, yeah, Colorblind Unicorn went the way that some RMCs go with just a metal support structure for the lift hill. Also with the big arch with a path underneath. I think that's pretty cool. And for the rest of the coaster, there's mostly a wooden structure. Now I also put footers under the track. Yeah, the track itself, I think it does look a little bit like a big jumble of track here. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit on the messy side here. I think if he just took a few extra tiles of space, the track could have looked a bit more easy to follow. But still, the layout that he put here, I think it's quite impressive. It does have a nice amount of weird banked sections. I see a few inversions here as well. I think it's just it would be a really fun ride to go on. I think the station also looks pretty nice. Although I really wish there would be some more stuff here on the map rather than just the coaster. Here's the entry from The Brew. He made this big RMC here with a big vineyard. You can see all these grape plants here. And it also looks like it has some grapes here in the support structure of the coaster. It's actually pretty cool. Now, I do recommend everyone to stay away from the map edge a bit. I think it's better to keep one tile of space at least from the edge of the map. As you can see, I think it looks better here than it does on this edge, for example. Because when you build right on the edge, it does tend to look a little bit cramped. Now, the coaster itself, I think it has a really good layout. Also has footers as well, nice supports. It does cover a lot of height difference, so in this part of the coaster it is a little bit fast. But overall, I think it's a really well done job here. Okay, here's the entry from Bo Jiden. Now, he made a really cool looking map. I really like the river rapids in this entry. I think that's probably the nicest part of the map. Although I would recommend not to make such a sharp drop here immediately after, or not such a sharp turn here immediately after having such a huge drop. That looks a little bit painful. But I do really like this station building here for the RMC. It just has a really cool structure, and queue is also decorated really nicely. As for the layout of the coaster, I think the hills could have used a little bit more banking, or maybe try to make it look like that has some outward banked turns. I always like to bank the coaster the other side on top of a hill, do stuff like that, or have some banking on top of hills like these, because that's something you will often see on RMC coasters. Also, I believe this coaster doesn't have any inversions. So yeah, once again, it's a little bit on the tame side for an RMC coaster. Also, I don't believe there's any extra support work being done here. So yeah, I think the coaster could have been easily improved with some nice supports and maybe footers, maybe an inversion or two, some banking. But yeah, I think the what actually made this entry score quite high is the incredible landscaping. The foliage is really nice, and there's also a lot of really nice buildings on the map. Okay, here's the entry from Bam the Bomb. Now, he made a huge map just filled to the brim with stuff. There's this big RMC coaster here. It's actually quite fun to follow this coaster through its layout. There's this incredible set of inversions here as well. You can see a big custom swinging ship over here. It's also a single rail coaster in this section. Also with quite a lot of inversions as far as I could see. My favorite part of this coaster is actually the station building. I think it actually looks really good. Especially with these recolorable castle pieces. This nice looking roof. I think Bam the Bomb did a really nice job on especially on the station. He always makes really good looking large buildings. These buildings here, this main street also looks really cool. An epic playground over here. Yeah, there's just lots of stuff to discover in this map. You can see some really cool ships here. Just lots of stuff to discover in this map. Definitely go check out these entries for yourself. I think this is a really cool entry from Bam the Bomb. Alright, here's the entry from Cedra. He made this recreation of a Railblazer, which sits in one of the Six Flags parks. I think he did an incredible job recreating this coaster. The layout is very much like the original. And I think it's just a really fun coaster to recreate. The landscaping under the coaster, I think it looks incredible. I really like the color of water with this red sand. They have just such a nice contrast. But also the rest of the map, I think it looks pretty cool. It is a bit of a sea of asphalt, but the seating areas here with the umbrellas, they kind of break it up quite nicely. And these planters here as well. What I would have liked to see maybe is maybe a few hundred extra guests, because it does seem a little bit deserted here. Okay, here's the entry from Kanaifa. He made something which looks really clean in my opinion. You can see these paths here with these fences next to them, and right after there's red sand with some bushes here and there, some trees. I think it all looks pretty clean. Also these buildings all look very clean, all these different layers on them. I think Kanaifa just has a really neat style. Its RMC also looks really cool. I think it's just a very good layout. We can see custom supports next to the coaster everywhere, footers. And just a really easy to follow layout. There's some really cool looking buildings here in the map. I really like this transfer track as well, and the station. It's a nice queue here as well. It just has fun stuff to look at everywhere you go. This condo ride, I think it looks really neat. It's built diagonally. I think it fits here in this section really well. So with this diagonal vertical track here in the middle, that's done really nicely. Custom Ferris wheel. I think Kanaifa just did an amazing job in this map. Okay, here's the entry from Grimnork. Now, while the previous entry was really clean, this entry is more filled to the brim once again. I think it's a really cool looking RMC. It actually has black supports instead of the brown that we see in most entries. Really love the support structure for this lift hill here. And I also like that the coaster swoops around the lift hill here. Some nice weird banking here in the sections. Looks like a triple down here even. It's quite an aggressive RMC, and I think it just looks really nice here. Also some nice inversions over here. Lots of other decorations in the map. These power lines really stand out. I think they look really cool. It's a really cool support structure for this tower. Some really nice buildings over here as well, with nice foliage along the paths as well. Just lots of stuff to discover in this map. I really like this chimney as well. So Grimnork did an incredible job here. Okay, here's the entry from Immortal Cactus. Now, I'm a little bit sad to see it score 8th place, because this was one of my favorite entries. He made this dueling single rail coaster here. And these trains actually follow each other here in this section. Both trains actually travel in a different direction. So this one travels backwards, this one travels forwards. So it's really fun to see them both here facing each other throughout this section. So quite a bit of trickery going on here. I believe these are actually powered vehicles, so that's why they're able to climb up here. And they're in shuttle mode, so once they reach the top here, they actually reverse direction. Well, really cool design here for the station. I love this this building. And there's lots of other cool stuff in the map as well. Really like this shoestring ride here. There's also a tiny wooden coaster in this section. Just lots of really nice buildings and structures in this map. This was definitely one of my favorite entries of this round. Alright, then we have a tie for 6th place. This is the entry from Shen Kitchen. Shen Kitchen made this RMC coaster here. Quite a nice support structure here for the lift hill. Again with the big arches under it, with paths passing underneath. I think that's pretty cool, and it definitely gives it an impressive first drop here. Actually travels underground through this tunnel here. Then this big helix here it goes underground once more and goes up vertically again. And finally there's this section of drops here, also with some really cool banking on top of these hills. So I think it's a wonderful entry from Shen Kitchen. You can see a really cool sign here where the guests actually enter the queue for the coaster, I believe. Yeah, that's really cool, and there's also some fun other decorations all throughout the map. I especially like this gate over here. It's called Cinemax. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I believe it's 3D cinema, not really sure. I also really like this football field, and this metro station over here also looks pretty epic. Okay, here's the other entry that got 6th place. This is the entry from AJ. He made this really tall RMC here. Now, because it's so tall, it also has an insane amount of speed throughout this section of the track. Maybe it could have done with a little bit less height. But still, it's a very impressive coaster. Has a really incredible support work here. I really like how AJ did all these supports here. Of course, footers throughout the track. And this is probably one of my favorite parts. It actually does a double helix around the entrance of the coaster here. I think that's really cool. That's some really nice interaction. If I was in this park, I would probably also stand around here for a while, just watching this coaster travel around me. Now, also some other fun rides here. You can see this old tram line here. And there's this coaster which travels over it. And it actually starts in this church, or this castle-like church. It's a really cool building. We'll see another coaster here in the corner of the map. Looks like some sort of mine train. And we can also see this diagonal ride here, which travels back and forth over this inclined track, aging in public. Yeah, just a really fun entry from AJ with some really cool rides and buildings. Okay, here's the entry from Chuggers. Now, he made this really cool, I believe it's a Six Flags park. I think what I really like is how he actually did the cutout of his map. There's actually some rides around here in the that use the black tile color for the track. That gives this a really nice curved cutout here. That actually looks really nice. Here's the station for the coaster. It's actually quite simple. But yeah, it's also something that you would probably expect for a Six Flags park. Here we can see the coaster drop down. Yeah, nice turnaround here. Here's another one with some nice banking as well. Here we can see an inversion that travels right under the lift hill. I think that's a pretty cool interaction with itself. Finally over here, there's some hills here, again with more weird banking. Here's another inversion. Finally, there's this helix before it returns back to the station. Now, it does have a bit of a weird transfer track here, which actually has a hill in it. That's really not something you see often. But I don't know, you'll probably need a lift hill here to actually get the cars out of the storage. Probably could have been done in a nicer way, maybe with the storage track right here, but maybe there was not enough space. I don't know. But yeah, funniest part about this entry was actually the parking lot. You can see some weird stuff here. Here you can see a road rage scene. You can actually see a guest here that's it's called Ouch, and this track here is probably actually a trail of guests, a trail of guest fluids. Here we can see Dirkling's $1 billion limousine trying to park in. And here you can see a scene that sadly had to be redacted. But yeah, really cool entry. Some really funny scenes here as well. And yeah, Chuggers did an amazing job in this entry. Okay, here's the entry from AlexRSDV. Now he did a recreation of Untamed, which is the RMC coaster in Walibi, Holland. I rode it myself a few times. It's just an incredible airtime filled coaster. And yeah, I think AlexRSDV did an incredible job recreating it. It follows the real layout quite closely. And the decorations on this map also are incredible. So this coaster is in the wilderness area of the park. And they actually intentionally let the area become overgrown a bit. Because it fits the theme. I think AlexRSDV did quite a good job recreating that feel. It does indeed look quite overgrown. Here you can see the queue also follows the original one quite closely. It also has some track elements of the original wooden coaster track. The support work here is just looks incredible. Just look at all these different track types and different pieces of scenery that are used here. Especially these diagonal supports just look incredible. Also really like the way he did the footers here. It's a really nice looking warehouse here as well. Yeah, the surroundings are also great. There's this spider-like robot in the real park with a car on top. And AlexRSDV actually recreated that with this monster truck vehicle. But yeah, this is an incredible recreation from AlexRSDV. I just wish he would actually run it with 2 trains, because now it always takes quite a bit, or takes quite a time for this coaster to actually make it through the track and see another one go. Alright, here we have the entry from Lurker. Now he made this really cool looking map. It's actually in the clouds with these islands. Maybe they're floating islands, or maybe these are actually mountain tops. But yeah, this coaster is sticking through. Here you can see this RMC coaster on top of the island. Truffles all around it. Now I think the landscaping and the scenery in this map is just incredible. Yeah, I think Lurker did an amazing job here on this island. This looks really nice with all the rock work here on the side, all the foliage here in the middle, some nice supports as well. No footers in this map, but yeah, with the track being so close to the ground everywhere, I'm not actually sure if that would have looked really good. But still, yeah, quite a nice layout in this map. It is a tad fast in my opinion. There's a lot of really small airtime hills in this coaster, and it just looks like this coaster blasts right through them. Actually looks a little bit uncomfortable in places. Well, also a really cool single rail coaster here on this map with a nice structure for it as well. Again, wonderful landscaping here. I really like these waterfalls here. These bridges, they also look incredible. So yeah, Lurker just did a wonderful job here once again. And it's nice to see him do something new. Alright, there's just 2 maps remaining. I will first show both of them, and after that I will reveal which one is the winner of this round. Alright, here we have the entry from Hobion. Now, this is just an incredible looking coaster in an incredible landscape as well. Yeah, it's not something you see every day. It looks like a combination of rock work with pink trees. I believe it's based on something from Elden Ring, not sure. It is a bit of a glitch fest though in places for people who don't use OpenGL like me. But yeah, you can especially see that in parts like this. Yeah, Hobion commented something about that. But still, all the stuff that is here just looks incredible. Especially like these custom trees. They just look really cool. Really cool. Yeah, the coaster itself also just looks incredible. The support structure for it is just amazing. Especially love these vertical towers, which themselves are also made with RMC track. Yeah, just a really impressive looking structure for it. I also love all this rock work and buildings which it passes through. The track layout itself also done really nicely. You can see all these hills here with incredible, with a really nice banking and really cool looking inversions. Especially love this first inversion here. That just looks amazing. And yeah, it's just really fun to watch this coaster travel through its layout. These custom trees here also look amazing. So yeah, it's just a wonderful entry. Also these ruins here look really good. Yeah, it's just once again a great creation from Hobion, who really stepped up his game in this round. Although probably next time when you build the park, also give it a look in the other drawing modes just to make sure that it doesn't glitch for some people who view the park. Okay, and here's the final map. This is the entry from Mulpje and Swag Titties, the only players who teamed up in this round. And once again, they both really delivered. This RMC, it just looks incredible. yeah, I really like the first drop and this double up right here. Yeah, there's some really cool banking again in this section right after that on the first hill. I really like the location of this pagoda here in the middle. That's definitely inspiration or from Mulpje. Yeah, also these lily pads here in this section. There's really cool foliage as well. Yeah, all throughout the map you see these really cool sections of foliage. Here you can see some ponds with bumper boats in the middle. Here you can see a really big pagoda, another hardline twister. Yeah, this map is just so cool, and there's just so much cool stuff to see everywhere you look. Yeah, once again, just an amazing job from Swag Titties and Mulpje. I don't think they actually have teamed up yet before, but I really hope they will team up again in a later round, because what they put together here is just incredible work. Alright, and with that, it's time to now reveal which one of these last two entries is the winner of the round. Is it Hobion with his incredible Elden Ring entry, or is it this beautiful entry from Mulpje and Swag Titties? And the winner of the RMC Coaster contest is... Mulpje and Swag Titties. Now this entry actually scored quite a bit higher than the one from Hobion. It's just a bit more clean and not a glitch fest, so that usually helps. But yeah, I just want to say that there were a lot of incredible entries in this round. There were lots of cool details in every map. A lot of these were saved to the Swag Shack, which is on our website, where we just make screenshots of all the incredible stuff that people make. Yeah, lots of wonderful entries in this round. Lots of entries, which is always nice for a contest. So yeah, I just hope to see as many entries once again for the next round. So yeah, if you want to join one of these contests, simply become a member on my Discord server. The rules for the next contest will be posted quite soon. And yeah, joining these contests is free for everyone. Alright, yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching all these entries. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving this video a like. It would really help out my channel. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. A big shout out to all my patrons who keep supporting me. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again in my next video. See you later.